So today on the Future Agent Podcast, we are talking all things supercharging your business from zero to hero in 1 year. Can it be done? I think it can. And some of these startling statistics that we're going to run through are just mind-blowing. So we'll see you on the other side.
Let's go.
Man, it feels like it has just been forever since we sat down to do this, but that's, I guess, what happens when you take Martin Luther King Jr. Day off and you're not running an episode. For those that don't know me, my name is Boo Maddox, team lead of the number one team here at Real Broker, number one team in the state of Utah, number 11 team in the nation. So when we say that we know what we are talking about, believe it, but with a grain of salt. Believe it.
Very small.
Believe it, but like verify. Trust but verify. That's probably how I would describe it.
Verify your sources.
Yeah, verify your sources. Been in production for 7 years, starting to get back into it just a little bit. We've been interviewing on some cool projects, so I'm excited to see what this year holds.
No doubt. If you're new here, my name is Tony Acosta. I've been in the industry for almost 13 years. February 3rd is my anniversary.
Hey.
13-year anniversary.
Let's go.
So we will be going out to lunch somewhere cool. I've done
condos, that's the go-to, right?
Condos, always.
Yep.
Started as a showing agent, became a principal broker, owned my own agency, sold that agency. Now we're here at the Perry Group. So today, it's interesting that you picked the phrase zero to hero. You know why?
Yeah.
Because my son was watching Hercules the other day.
Ooh.
Zero to hero all day.
That's a bomb.
It's a bomb. Bomb. But hey, I am excited about this topic because as I was scrolling social media this morning, I saw what often happens, which is a bunch of agents sharing the exact same thing.
Yep.
And what they shared was a post from Inman.
Credible source. Don't need to fact check that.
That said 71% of agents didn't do a single transaction in
Not a single one. I'm curious, why do you think that is?
Oh, that's what we're going to get into. I got a lot to say about that.
Wow, I don't want to say surprised at that. I mean, when you look at the average 18,000 agents here in the state of Utah, average was 2 transactions a year. That means that half of those did less than 2. Half of them did more than 2. I mean, we are getting into a situation, and this is what we talked about before the NAR lawsuit. To me, the group that's going to be hammered by the NAR lawsuit the most was that middle tier of agents, the 2 to 5 deal a year agent who can't compete with a Tony Acosta who's going on year 14 in this industry that knows damn well what they are doing and can outperform you, outshow you, outlist you, out everything you. Yeah. And the discount people. The discount people are always going to be fine. As you know, there's a model for that always. But, I mean, it's the middle tier of agents, and we're seeing that happen now. And I think what this leads me to believe is that right now, especially in this market, which there's a lot of agents that will see that 71% back, tough market. No, that's not why those people didn't sell a house.
No, it's not. That's not it.
It's not. More agents put themselves into a recession than a recession puts agents into a recession. Yes. That's a Bill Pipes quote, and that is absolute facts. But, I mean, 71%.
I mean, it's heartbreaking. First of all, it's heartbreaking because if I've learned anything about real estate over the last 13 years, it's that this industry is an industry that has a lot of hope attached to it. Yeah. Whether it's for buyers, for sellers, for investors,
for agents.
Like, there's so much hope around this thing called real estate, whether it's, okay, where am I going to invest my money? Where am I going to live? Am I going to be able to sell properly? Is this going to be something that is going to change the financial trajectory of my family? So there's a lot of hope. So even though a lot of agents kind of poo-poo it a little bit or even use it to take shots at those agents that are in that group, I'm empathetic to that because I know what it feels like to feel like your production isn't there or feel like you're just spinning your wheels. And so there's so many layers as to why we think that happens. And so the objective with today's podcast, everyone, is for you to really sit down and take an objective look at your business as we go through some of these layers to see what is missing. And it can be a number of different things that we're going to get into. Is it systems? Is it team? Are you trying to do it by yourself? Is it the business model at large? Is it where you're putting your time or not putting your time? But it's a heartbreaking stat. Honestly, I feel for anybody that is listening to this and is in that group. Hopefully this can be helpful.
I'm curious of your opinion. Of the 71%, so there's 1.5 million real estate agents in the United States. 71% didn't sell anything, so that's roughly a million agents, ballpark, who didn't sell anything. What, out of those million, how many of those do you think are full-time versus part-time?
That's a good question. I would venture to believe that most are going to be part-time.
Yeah.
Just because from what we've seen here in the office, like the agents that actually put in the time are going to produce something if they're in the right place, in the right environment. So I would say most of them are part-time, but even if you're part-time, again, there's still that hope that this is going to bear some fruit. And when it doesn't, it gets incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, and so just to put this into context, we talk about this number all the time on this show. Here at the Perry Group, we have 160 agents across 3.5 offices, 4 offices. Our average was 8.5 transactions last year. So while 71% of the industry was doing 0, our average was doing 8.5. And the methods, the practices that we're going to talk about are the exact same strategy that we give to all of our brand new agents, which going into February, do you know how many, this is a new month for us, a new record for us, 20 new agents starting, not all new, but new to the team, 20 people starting, and this is the exact framework that we're going to give them as they're starting out.
And that's why. So the very first lens that I would throw at everybody is, okay, if you're in this group that didn't do, or even if you did a couple, or if you're in a group that didn't do as much as you would have liked to do, and in your mind 2024 was kind of a failure, I think the first thing that you need to really look at is your environment, which speaks to the 20 agents that are going to join. That's kind of the switch that they're trying to make. So really ask yourself, and I'm sure we're going to get into this more in depth, but what are you getting for, whether it's the split that you're paying, the group that you're a part of? Are you in an environment that is helping you thrive, or is it just a paper broker where it's like, all right, I got to check off this box?
Well, yeah, at least your splits are $600, but at least your splits are $600. But if you're doing 0 deals, 0 deals is 0 deals is 0 deals.
Yep, doesn't
roll
matter.
it, Tiggy. Item number 1: start with a solid game plan. Now, we gotta keep rolling because he's got his phone ringing over on the counter. It's probably Forbes or Inman or somebody wanted to do another article.
It's
on
Ryan
this, dude.
Serhant. Ryan, chill.
Start with a solid game plan. Set clear goals. Define specific and measurable goals for transactions, income, and prospecting activities in 2025. Break down annual goals into monthly and weekly milestones to stay on track. Create a daily routine for success. Focus on high-value activities like lead generation, networking, and client follow-ups every day. And prioritize time blocking to ensure consistency in your efforts. Now, we did a deep dive on all things building out your business plan. So we're going to touch on this one briefly, but if you want to know what we think your business plan should look like, we did a 2-part episode on that towards the end of December there. Absolutely go back and rewatch that. But we talk about this prioritizing of activities. What do you think an agent should prioritize that did 0 deals last year?
It has to be prospecting.
Has to be lead
Nothing
gen.
else matters.
Yeah, and you and I get into this argument all the time because you're a systems person. My argument has always been figure out the lead gen component and then implement the systems, because if you have the systems in place, but you don't have the lead generation in place,
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
For sure.
And I think that this is where so many agents, I think the majority of agents, even those that did 0 last year, if you were to take them a transaction and hand it to them and say, here you go, here's a transaction, of those million agents that didn't do anything, I bet the fair majority, 750 to 800,000 of them would know what to do with a lead once it comes in the door. My argument would be, though, that 80% of our business, or 80% of the agents in our business are failing because they don't prioritize lead gen. We see this wave pattern that exists in our industry nonstop, and what happens is agents will get 1 or 2 deals under contract because they spent the last 6 months prospecting, and excuse me. And then the very first thing that goes out the window, as soon as they get those 1 or 2 leads that are actively shopping for something, prospecting is done because they don't have it time blocked and they don't have it allocated. They don't have the time allocated for it because they finally got a shiny object and they're going to chase it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Whatever you did in 2024, if you're in this boat, here's where sometimes you got to set your ego aside a little bit. You have to realize that it didn't work, my guy. And you might have to burn it to the ground. And that's difficult to do, especially if you've been in the industry for a while, or even for new agents, because we have a certain way of doing things.
Yeah.
But if your way of doing things isn't giving you the result that you're looking for, burn it to the ground. Like,
Light it on fire, baby.
The quicker you
got
burn
nothing
it
to
down,
lose.
the better it's going to be. But a lot of people hold on to a way of doing things that doesn't produce, which to me makes no sense. So as you're listening to this podcast, think, what do I need to burn to the ground? What do I need to forget about? What do I need to never do again? Because clearly, if you put time into that, it didn't work. It didn't bring the results. So one of the things that I love about this team is that it's just results oriented. I mean, we do what works, and if something doesn't work, we move off it, and it's not emotional. It's just whatever. You know what?
Yeah,
This is one of the next thing.
This is one of those things I'm realizing has been my superpower within this industry, is that it doesn't matter how much time or energy I spend building something, if it's no longer serving the overall goal, which in this argument is, in this context, is producing transactions, if it's not serving you, two things need to happen. Number one, you got to approach this with an extreme ownership mindset. And I think that's what a lot of agents struggle to do in this business. It's always the market's fault. It's always interest rates' fault. It's always my client's fault. It's always that other agent that stole my buyer's fault. When in reality, you can control so much of this business that so many agents don't think that they can control. And so for me, you gotta be willing to approach this first with an extreme ownership mindset of saying, okay, the lack of success is my fault. It's not my broker's fault. It's not my team's fault. It's not my whoever's fault. This is on me. This is my business, and I failed. What did I do that didn't work? The fun part, though, is that if you were actually putting in the time and failing along the way, those failures will give you more insight. Just flip it. Just do the opposite of whatever you were doing that didn't work, and I bet you something will work.
Yeah, and it seems so difficult to do, but and again, I've been in this position of how do I get more deals? And so when we talk about prospecting, it's thinking, what are the one or two, maybe three things max that you're going to focus on? If you're trying to do everything all at once, if you simultaneously want to do Instagram and YouTube, and you want to door knock, and you want to do cold calls, and the mailers, plus the open houses, plus I got to go do pop buys with my past clients, and you want to do all of that, you're never going to do any activity enough. You're not going to have enough volume to actually get any results. So it's not being afraid. You got to get rid of the FOMO.
Yeah.
And you have to just dial in on 1, 2, 3 things that fit your skill set, that fit your interests, that fit your time frame. But forget about everything else. It's about blinders on 1, 2, or maybe 3 very specific things.
Yeah, I used to get asked, I still get asked all the time, Boo, what's the secret? What's the silver bullet? What's the secret? Here's the reality, my friend, is that if you don't stop prospecting, leads don't stop coming in the door. I think the biggest silver bullet that any successful real estate agent has in this industry is it doesn't matter how many houses they put under contract yesterday, it doesn't matter how many leads they had reach out to them yesterday, they're still coming in today and doing their prospecting. They have it time blocked, they have the time allocated, and that is sacred time, no different than how most agents view an appointment as sacred time. Meaning that if something pops up and they have a showing from 3:30 to 5:30 and something else pops up, they're not scheduling anything over that. But with the second that it's prospecting, I got this, I got networking, I got marketing, I got this, I got that, I got this, I got that.
I got to go to the realtor.
I gotta go to the lender meeting. I got trapped in one of these a week and a half ago. Shoot me in the face. And there is nothing worse than when you give up that time. And then I think the only thing that would be worse is when agents look at me, they're like, well, I don't have any business. Gee, I wonder why. It's because that is not sacred time to you, and you don't understand what it takes to be successful at this. That is the silver bullet.
So start there, all right? We want to kind of build on this so that it's not just in the clouds, but actually bring it down to the dirt. So number one, time block your prospecting activities. Make sure it's on your calendar, whatever it is. If you go extreme, the Alex Hormozy version, he says first 4 hours of the day, you just have to remind the world that you exist.
Yep.
There's a million ways to do that, but first 4 hours of the day, you have to remind the world that you exist. From there, once you do that time blocking, it's okay. What do I do? What am I doing? Am I going to be making content? Am I going to be making calls? Am I going to be, what activities am I doing? Here's a recommendation that I'll give you, since I know that this isn't a prospecting episode. I'm sure we'll get there. But think about, even if you haven't had a deal in 6 months, 8 months, think about the last few that you've had. Where did they come from? Have you ever done something that gave you some result? Maybe that one time you did that one open house and you got that buyer, or that one piece of content, or that one mailer that kind of worked a little bit. Start there.
Pour gasoline.
Often it's not about finding new, it's about going backwards, finding what worked in the past, and just doing more of it. Do 10x of the thing that even gave you a minimal result, and often that's the first place to start.
All right, amen. T, next point. Point number 2, leverage technology and social media. Use tools to streamline your business. Adopt a robust CRM system to manage leads and automate follow-ups. Utilize platforms like Canva, video editing tools to create engaging marketing content. Dominate social media. Build a strong personal brand on platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube by posting market updates, educational tips, and success stories. Engage with your audience by responding to comments and DMs to establish trust and credibility. I'm going to let you take the CRM one, and then I'll take the second point.
Yeah, I'm a big CRM junkie. I talk about it all the time. I'm a massive CRM nerd. The reason for that is because when I first became a broker, we had a version of a CRM, but we didn't use it properly. It was a mess. It wasn't categorized. There was no tags. There was no notes. It was a disaster. And so when we then wanted to either go back and prospect to our past clients or put together some sort of an event and we had to do reach outs, we couldn't do it because the CRM was a mess. And so if your CRM is not optimized and you start to get a little bit of traction, things start to fall through the cracks. So what are some of those basic elements that your CRM has to have? Not only name, phone number, and address, but you have to have, number one, some tags. So tags can be what point of the process are they in? Are they a hot lead, a warm lead, a cold lead? There's a million different ways to categorize people, but the way that I think about it is you want to establish different buckets of people. These are the people that need to have a lender appointment. These are the people that had a lender appointment but are not yet ready. These are the people that, and however you want to slice it, you want to establish these buckets. And your goal every single day when you sit down at your desk is to open up that CRM and ask name by name, what do I need to do to move people from one bucket to the next bucket? And in my opinion, I give this analogy often, checking your CRM is like brushing your teeth. If you don't do it every day, it's gross. It has to be a daily thing where you have your list, you have your tags, you have your sources, you know where these people came from. Did they come from social media? Did they come from an event? Are they past clients? Start there. If you can just have source, tag, name, phone number, and email, that's enough to get started. But there has to be some sort of system where you keep track of these individuals. Otherwise, again, once you start getting good at this lead thing and names start to populate that CRM, it's going to be a disaster. And if you try to retroactively clean it, it's nearly impossible.
Yeah, it's because you're going to lose the tags, you're going to lose where they came from, you're going to lose where they're going, and you're just going to be too far behind, and then you're going to be overwhelmed, and you're not going to do it. Speaking to the second point, leveraging social media and digital assets. I think this is where so many agents are going wrong right now. The biggest, most common post that most real estate agents are posting out there is a key in front of closing saying, congratulations to the Acosta family. They just closed on their awesome new house, and there's no explanation as to why they closed. There's no explanation as to why they used you as their agent. There's no explanation as to the value that you created. And so if you're like the 71% of real estate agents, the million real estate agents out there or so this year that closed 0 transactions, what are you going to post? My biggest piece of advice is go into ChatGPT, use a prompt, say, I'm a real estate agent in this area, this is my specific target client, help me create 25 videos, and then just start doing 1 or 2 of those every single week. But more than that, it's kind of like the CRM. If you don't use it appropriately, it's not going to produce any results. So this is where I think so many agents are missing the mark with social media is they post and that's it. They don't understand that conversion comes from conversation. Conversion comes from conversation, and conversation starts in the DMs. So if you're not actively using social media to go out and try to get new clients, and here's your strategy, pick 10 a day and send 10 personalized videos. Hey, Tony, Boom Addicts with the Perry Group. Hey, I set some really big goals for myself this year. I'm not going to be able to hit them unless I have some really good people like you that I can work with. Are you and your wife in the market to either buy or sell anything, or do you know of anybody? That simple video helped one agent in our office generate 4 leads since January 1st. Assuming a 25% conversion in your SOI, that's at least 1 transaction that he has already added this year. This has to be a prospecting game with social media. This is not a post and wait game. This is an aggressive game, and most people don't understand that.
They don't. And also, just from an algorithmic perspective alone, the more you interact with people, the more people are going to see your stuff. It's learning how to play this game. But what I've seen in all of the courses that I've given, Boo, is this social media thing makes people really anxious.
Yeah.
And we're afraid. We're afraid to be judged. We don't like the way we look. We don't like the way we sound. We feel like we're not smart enough. We're not educated enough. We're comparing ourselves. You got to forget about all of that. And here's a little tidbit that really helped me when I was feeling insecure. Mute every single agent.
Oh, yeah.
Mute everybody. If you don't want the drama of, hey, you unfollowed me, mute them all. If there's anybody, or if just looking at those same posts that agents are sharing makes you feel insecure, or then you're like, oh, my video isn't as good as her video, or oh, is a better speaker than I am, get rid of it. Just don't watch it. Mute everybody, blinders, and just give people useful information. Give people useful information. Don't take your education for granted, whether you're new or you're experienced. You know more about this real estate thing than 99% of the world. And even if you don't feel, if it's a scale from 1 to 10, if you feel like you're not a 10, maybe you're a 6 or you're a 5, that's fine. The average Joe is a level 1,
You're a
maybe
10
a
in their
level
book.
2.
You're a 10 in their book.
You can absolutely provide value to that individual. Stop comparing yourself to the number 1 agent in your market. It doesn't serve you. Unfollow them, mute them if you don't want the drama. Don't even consider it.
Point number 3, Tingy. Prioritize building relationships. This is where I think so many agents completely miss the mark because they are very short-sighted. Tap into your sphere of influence. Start with friends, family, and acquaintances. They're more likely to trust and refer you. Ask for referrals and let your network know that you're open for business. Focus on long-term client relationships. Deliver exceptional service to create raving fans who will refer and repeat business with you. Send handwritten notes or small gifts to show appreciation and stay top of mind. So, the analogy that I always give every agent on our team is that you have 2 jobs as a real estate agent, and there's a clear delineation down the middle. Job number 1, this is before a lead enters your ecosystem. You are in the entertainment business, my friend. The name of the game is how can I get eyes onto me to show everybody what I am doing. You're an entertainer. You're an educator. You are somebody that is supposed to be building a brand around being a trusted professional. Hard stop. Once a lead enters your ecosystem, you are officially in the hospitality industry. The book that I would tell all of you to read if you're trying to figure out this component of your business is a book called Unreasonable Hospitality. It tells you everything. It gives you the playbook on exactly how to create raving fans and show people that you are the go-to expert because you listen. And I think there's so many agents that don't do this because they get somebody under contract, they get their house sold, they post the picture holding the key in front of the closing title desk, and then they ghost.
They ghost.
They never hear from you again, and then you're shocked that they don't want to send you business.
And that's it. And that's literally where it ends. And you go back to square one. Now you're going back trying to find strangers again. When you have somebody that already used your service, hopefully you did a good job and they're happy about it, that has to become probably your strongest prospecting method is these relationships that you're building. But to your point, you can't just be transactional.
No.
So Unreasonable Hospitality, great book. Will Guidara does a phenomenal job. It's about the restaurant industry. Be smart, be creative, adapt it to your own industry. Another one that I would throw in there, classic from Gary Vee, The Thank You Economy. Great book. And it's just about getting to know these individuals, which for me goes back to the CRM point. There's no way you're going to remember everybody's name, their kids' names, their birthdays, any of that. So as you're going through this process, sprinkle in there these personal interactions. Be aware, if you know that somebody is a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan, and you're excited, and they're excited that they're going to the Super Bowl, guess what? You have a phenomenal opportunity this week to do a reach out. And if the Eagles win the Super Bowl or they don't, or you know when their birthday is, send them a gift, send them a lanyard. Those are the kinds of
things. Or take it a step further. Let's say that you know, right, and this is Unreasonable Hospitality. I'm literally listening to this portion right now. You know that they're going to have 25 to 30 of their closest friends and family members at their house. So what happens if you were to take, let's say you just made $8,000 off of them, which is probably close to the average commission check, and you were to take $250 of that and throw the most badass Super Bowl party sponsored by Tony Acosta for these 25 people that are coming in. What would happen? Like, let's just role play this in our mind for a second. And how did it go?
I actually did something similar to that. Back in the day, there was a real estate trainer by the name of Alex Smith, and he talked about having custom pizza boxes. And I remember doing this. I did it twice. Then I stopped doing it, which speaks to the consistency point. I wish I would have kept
35 houses a year. You're okay, big guy.
But what he would have you do is he'd have you make these stickers with your face on it or whatever it was. It was a little bit cheesy, not gonna lie, it was a little bit cheesy. But it was a final of the Mexican Soccer League, and we hand-delivered, I think it was like 20 pizzas, 25 pizzas, just those $5 pizzas, and it was great. It's somebody that to this day I still have a relationship with, and I remember that. I remember that so clearly, and it's something that honestly I think that I should have continued to do, but it's those personal things. Like you said, use some of your commission dollars to reinvest. And it doesn't always have to be go buy leads or hire somebody. Take a little bit of that money, $50, $100, whatever it is, and do something nice.
I mean, you could throw an absolute banger of a Super Bowl party for $250. And you know what's going to happen is that I'm going to come over to your house and I'm going to see just this spread, this layout of just all things Eagles, the coolest Super Bowl spread that has ever existed. And I'm going to say, dude, how did you do this? And I'm going to say, hey, this was my real estate agent. So as you're going through this, just think, okay, it's not necessarily the amount of dollars that you can spend, it's how you spend them. And if you're not reinvesting back into your business, you're never going to have these raving fans, and you better just be very comfortable throwing open houses 3 times a week, because that's going to be the only place that your business can come from.
And last thing I'll say before we move on to the next point, you talk about this often of some of these things are what make this business fun.
Yes.
It's supposed to be fun. I'm assuming you like these people.
You're supposed to.
You should.
Yeah.
I hope you do. And so what better than throwing a Super Bowl party with your new friends, people that you genuinely like to be around. They like you. They appreciate you. This is what can make prospecting way more fun, way more effective. And also if we talk dollar for dollar, I would rather you go out and spend $200 on a Super Bowl party like that they're going to have 30 people at, than probably pretty much anything else that you could do.
Well, yeah, run the math. Let's say that you spend $200 on this party and you get 2 leads out of it. You just spent $100 per lead. That is a steal in our industry. That is an absolute rip in our industry. But most agents aren't thinking about it like that. They'd rather just get a bottle of alcohol or something and drop it off with a bow on it that is not a specific gift to these people, and then they can't figure out why they're not getting a referral because they dropped off a bottle of Don Julio and they thought that would get them a deal.
Facts.
Next point, Tingy, last one. Gain market knowledge and confidence. Become a local expert. Study your local market trends, pricing, and inventory to offer valuable insights to clients. Stay updated on new developments, school districts, and lifestyle features in your area. Build your skills. Invest in training for negotiation, pricing strategies, and lead conversion to build confidence in client interactions. Shadow top agents or join a real estate team to fast track your learning. Something I'm super passionate about, something I believe in strongly, becoming the go-to neighborhood expert. We talk about my time at Edge Homes. Why do I think that builder agents are able to sell more than residential agents? My only working theory after being on this side of the line for the last year and a half is that new construction forces hyper-localization. Every single market in the United States is going to be going to this at some point, at some time in its lifespan. If you are not on top of becoming a go-to neighborhood expert for 20 to 30 people a year, you're missing the mark trying to be everything for everybody.
Always, because there's not enough bandwidth for you to actually become an expert on an entire state. I don't care how smart you are. There's no way. And so people want to work with people that understand where they want to be, why they want to be there. I'll give you an example. I live in Vineyard. I love Vineyard. I love everything about Vineyard. So,
except the HOA.
Except the HOA, because they told me I couldn't have my cat. So, sorry, Simba. But we're getting a new grocery store. I got to know everything about the grocery store. I love the principal at our school, Mr. Gonzalez. He's a great dude. And so, if you as an agent think, okay, I don't know who to talk to, or nobody responds to my content, or nobody says, well, maybe it's because it's way too broad, my guy. Maybe just maybe. Start thinking about what is going on in your town, in your city. As you said, local events, what is happening? What are the best parks in the area if you're here in Utah to go sledding? This, that, I mean, those little tidbits can start to get eyes on you, and then once you have the eyes and you become an educator, like you said, or an entertainer, now you have a better shot at people actually listening to what you say.
And this is terrifying. There are so many agents that are afraid to take this step into hyper-localization because this is going to be the first time in your business where you have to say no to other business. This is going to be the first time where you say, I'm not driving 2 hours. I'm not driving 4 hours. I'm not going to help this commercial deal that I know nothing about. This is going to be the first time that you have to say no to a lot of business, but by saying no to them, you're saying yes to the people that you can help the absolute best. And this can always change, this can always evolve, this can always grow. But establishing this is so much of a quicker path to becoming the go-to person for a small group of people rather than trying to be everything to everybody.
And you know what I found? I've actually been surprised at here's where agent networking is the only circumstance where it starts to become somewhat valuable.
The rest, throw it out.
The rest, throw it out. This is the only reason why you should ever spend any time with agents is because of what I'm about to drop right now. So I've been approached for multiple land deals recently. And so at first, obviously, I'm talking early on in your career, you'll sell anything.
Oh, I got this.
If you have a
I know how to do land entitlement.
But what I've done recently is refer those out. Refer those out to somebody that is more local, somebody that knows the area, somebody that has more contacts than you, somebody that's sold more land in that area than you. And it's saying no. It's being willing to take a small fee to send somebody else business, but I have found reciprocation from that. So I have one very specific case where we referred a lot, it's out in Fairview out, and the lady calls me back and she says, hey, I've got this Spanish-speaking family that is looking in Utah County. She says, I don't speak Spanish, you speak Spanish, do you want a meeting with them? And she set up the meeting. So often, you never know what's going to end up happening. So even if you have to say no to the lot that's 2 hours away, or no to the commercial deal that's wherever because you don't understand it, you'd be surprised at what opportunities can come back to you if you can start to build these referral networks of agents in specific pockets where you know you're not the expert, you get the ego out of the door, you can still charge your fee, and things often come back to you.
Well, that's it today, you guys. Like we said, go from zero to hero in 1 year. If you implement these 4 things that we talked about today, you can absolutely do that. Don't be part of the 71% not selling any houses. Don't be part of the 71% that listen to this show and are not liked, commenting, and subscribing. Push the button for the boys, and we'll see y'all next time.